Let me go ahead and introduce our speakers. We have two speakers today, husband and wife team, the Cottles. We're really excited to have them here. They've been great supporters of the university, and I got to hear from them just a little bit a couple nights ago. We had them make a brief presentation at the SCIFE Club, Students in Free Enterprise, and so it's fun to hear just a little bit about that. So I've got a little bit of taste, and I know you're in for a treat today to hear from them. Kevin Cottle originally worked for Hewlett-Packard for, I can't remember how many years. It was
16.8.
16.8. I remember the 0.8, 16.8 years. And did that before he and his wife went on to do several things on their own, starting their own business, one of which is called Oh My Crafts. And they sell products in over 200 countries. I think that's pretty impressive. Anybody that can start a business that, what, in your basement or your garage, right? That's where it started, was to start something in that level that is now selling product basically throughout the world. I'm excited to hear from them again. Like I say, I've heard some fun things, and we're really glad to have them here. And I want to welcome you here.
Oh,
Kevin.
Thank you.
And Sandy. And so we're going to hear from both of them today.
Thank you.
Usually my beautiful wife is here able to present those or do something for you, but we'll look forward to you, and I'll let you introduce a little bit more about yourselves and your business, but we're really excited to have that. So welcome Kevin and Sandy Cottle.
Is there like an X, or are you going to follow me? You'll follow me. I want to be like Jay Leno, where he has an X, right? So I love coming here to speak. We decided to do this together because I think you'll get a nice mix of our business and some things that we'd like to share. So just on timing, if we try and hit when the big hand's on the 8 and leave time for question, is that about right?
Or quarter till, somewhere.
Or 8 or 9, okay. So if somebody help me, if I look like I'm going over, make sure we give her some time, because that can happen. So we wanted to do two things today. First of all, tell you a little bit about us and our business, and repeat the story. And I know some of you were here the other night, so you might hear it again, and maybe we'll say some new things. And then as we were driving back the other night and then again this morning, we jotted down, we thought it was fun, we jotted down probably our top 10 things we've learned in starting this business. And they may not be scientific, but they're our top 10, and so we wanted to share those with you. And some lessons learned and some fun little stories along the way. And feel free to shout out your questions, save your question, whatever is the most appropriate protocol here. So, like Brother Tanner said, I spent 16.8 years, and we think of it as we, because she had to endure the 16.8 years of corporate life as well. Corporate life was fun. I mean, it was a good learning experience. I graduated from Utah State with a degree in engineering, and Sandy with a degree in business. And we took that for a ride, and we learned a lot of things together along the way about how the corporate America works. They decided that they needed to downsize in 2001, and in 2002, right in the middle of the Salt Lake Olympics, we moved to Salt Lake City. We had a couple of ideas of things to do. We tried those, and because of a variety of changes, those didn't pan out like we had envisioned. And we finally decided, let's try this on our own. I'd spent a lot of years traveling mostly to Asia and sourcing things, and we decided that we wanted to do something where we source products and then tried to sell them. Internet was big and growing at that point, and our channel was eBay at that time. We started an eBay business. We were titanium power. We still are titanium power sellers. At one time we had 5 accounts for a variety of reasons, and we sold a variety of products. Do you want to hear the China story again?
Sure.
This is my guide right here. He's a good listener. Can I divert just for a minute? Did any of you know, how many are kind of Hawaii local residents? So did you know that if you run out of gas on the freeway, you can call a number and they'll give you gas?
Like AAA?
No, there's like a number, like an emergency number.
Really?
Yeah. So we tried hard not to be late, but we were so busy planning that we got to almost Mililani, and she says, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I think we ran out of gas." So just so you know, there's apparently a number. And the guy that gave me a ride back to the car said, if you do that again, stay on the freeway, because if you go off, they can't give you that service. So stay on the freeway if you run out of gas. So, and just another little fun story. Our son, who's 18, our second oldest son, just got called last night to the San Antonio Spanish-speaking mission. And we didn't divulge this when we were here, but unbeknownst to the rest of the group that was with us, I had asked one of his friends to get his call from the post office and get on a plane and fly it over. So he was quite surprised. So we've been a little bit preoccupied by a couple things. And so work with us a little bit, and hopefully we'll have a little bit of the spirit as we tell you. So we decided to sell stuff on the internet, and we started, I went to China thinking, this is easy. You just go over there and they show you their stuff, and you pick out products and you put it in a box and they send it over, and then you start selling it. And I didn't quite realize how difficult the whole getting stuff from China process should be, because I was used to HP that had a structure of people that could help support that process. And we were blessed for probably one of our most notable and many to follow. We were blessed with some divine intervention, we think, and we have all along the way. And that came in the form of a man in an airport saying, you talk to my agent. I called the agent, and he became our agent and helped us through the process. And we could tell you countless experiences that we've had where the money has come just in time, or someone's been put into our path that has allowed us to build a business. We did start in our basement, and it grew to the point where she said, I'm not doing this anymore. You've got to get it out of here. We moved into a space about 9,000 or 10,000 square feet. We had no idea how we were going to pay the rent and what we were going to do with all this space. And less than a year later, it was full of product, and we were starting to look for a new place to live. And we moved into a 25,000 square foot place about just a little over a year ago. I'm not supposed to tell you, but I'm going to anyway, that because we're proud of it. Hopefully it's not bragging, but a few weeks ago we were just awarded Inc. 500's, one of Inc. 500's fastest growing private companies. So, thanks. So we're hoping that propels us onto some new things. We sell crafting products online. Through a series of events and decisions, we chose to focus from scooters and apparel and airsoft BBs and a variety of things to just crafting. And I think that, as Sandy will probably mention, that's one of the things that was really key to us getting to a product, or to a company structure and a product line that we could launch. We went from one supplier and essentially about 10 or 14 employees to almost 60 suppliers. And instead of buying on the typical wholesale level, we buy at a distributor level now. So we have a lot of advantages. And one of the little tidbits of knowledge is, as you progress down that business path, you'll learn that there are no rules. Well, there are some rules, but every one of them can be broken. And one of those rules, and it's not dishonesty breaking rules, it's, you know, if you think you've got the best price, there's probably a better price you can get, and go out and ask for it and negotiate it. And that's one of the things we learned, is we negotiated pricing with a variety of suppliers, and we got to the point where we have suppliers that are actually coming to us to either get rid of inventory or share their ideas, or ask their questions and have us share their ideas. And it's kind of a nice position to be in. The other thing that we've learned along the way of building a business is you can't get complacent, because things will change every day. I'm surprised. Every day I wake up and I lay there and I think, okay, so who's going to complain today? Who's going to cry today? And what problems there are going to be? And just trying to anticipate what the changes might be for that day. So we came up with 10 things that we wanted to share with you. Mine aren't numbered. You numbered yours. The first one, maybe these aren't really in order, but the first one that I was given, she took her favorites, was employees are the most important resource. One of the employee that's been with us the longest now is a woman that became a single mom, moved to Alpine, and by some chance we put the ad on the Utah job board right when she needed the job. She came to us and we won over somebody else, and she has become our most dedicated employee, most loyal employee, and she's also become a very dear friend of ours. But from Lynn on down to a number of employees that I could talk to you, they become your most important resource. And the important point I'm trying to suggest is that's the way you need to think of them, is employees are your resource. They're not just something that you can pay a little bit, and if it doesn't work out, move them aside. I believe in, this is kind of my employee belief, but I believe a lot like children. You teach them, you train them, and then you trust them. I know it's a scriptural reference, and I'm sure many of you can correct me if I get it wrong, but teach them correct principles and they'll govern themselves. And a lot that's usually suggested in the terms of children, right? But I believe that with employees too. Another quote that I really like that I tell them sometime is President Monson once said not too long ago that never let the problem to be solved become more important than the person to be loved. So I try hard, and sometimes too hard, to look at the situation of the employee, because I believe that as friends or employees or work colleagues, we rarely know the full depth of what they might be going through. We had one employee that made some awesome mistakes a couple of times. I mean, thousands of dollars. And he was just shocked that I didn't fire him. And about a week ago, he came into our offices individually and gave us a letter. And it was just 2-week notice because he was moving. But it was heart-wrenching, the depth of gratitude that he felt that we gave him a chance and didn't just throw him on his. And he was going through some tough times, some depression and some different things. But I need to end that point on telling you that not only do you have to love the people, but sometimes, and this is my downfall, is sometimes you have to remember about the other employees. This same woman, Lynn, had to remind me, yes, that's an important quote, but don't forget about the rest of us. Don't overcompensate for the ones that are having challenges and forget about the rest of the employees. And she kind of pulled me back and said, it's time to let this person go. And we did. Number 2, closely connected with that is treat everyone fairly. Not only the golden rules, but sometimes in conflicts you have to realize that there will not be a happy answer for everybody. You cannot make everybody happy, but you can try hard to treat everybody fairly. In terms of employees, just like we were mentioning. But even more important than employees is the customers and the suppliers. Brother Tanner also mentioned that we ship to 210 countries. That was the last one I looked up. And you said we do business in 210. We just ship to 210. It's not that big a deal. It's just we put them in the box. But you get a lot of customers and a lot of different types of personalities and beliefs and cultural expectations and personal perspectives. And so it's really hard sometimes, but you have to remember that they're people with families and they're trying to do good, and they're trying, mostly. You get a few of the odd ones that want to be really mean to you, but for the most part, they're good people, and they're trying to take care of their families and deal with their challenges in their life. Not too long ago, we had a son of a good friend that was passed away in an accident, and we decided to, in memory of him, to put a note about him on our email. And we were absolutely overwhelmed by the number of comments that came in and just said, you have our love and our support. My daughter passed away, or my husband, or and it reminded me that everybody has their challenges and their problems, and it's important to remember to treat them fairly. We have some suppliers on the other end of this business. We have some suppliers that, I won't name names, but they don't know what they're doing. I mean, they just literally, and it becomes a challenge for us to feel like it's a partnership. But on the other side of it, we have some partners that are very, very honest, and they try and do right by us. And just to close on that point, a couple of things is, first of all, you won't always get it right. Others won't think that you're being honest, but it may not look like from their perspective that you're being honest or doing the right thing, but sometimes it becomes so complicated that you have to just do your very best to make a choice and hope that if you've made a mistake that you can move along and correct that. And the other thing that I try and use as kind of a governing idea is the question that many of us have probably been asked before is, are you honest in your business dealings? That's a tough one sometimes, and you just have to keep asking yourself, am I doing the right thing? Number 3, I numbered them. Number 3 is, it's not just about the money, at least for us. And I think that that's a good guiding principle. We've tried hard to create a business where it's a fun place to work. Not too long ago, she used to ask me why I do all this stuff, and then she just gave up, and I just do it. But a few months ago, I ran out and just bought a brand new barbecue and brought it in, a grill. And they have barbecues there all the time. And we have company parties, and we do fun things, and they love to work there for the most part. There's a few people that take exception to that. But for us, it's not just about the money. It's coming to share with you, and it's doing things that make not only the business, but the employees that support us enjoy being associated with that business. Not too long ago, about a year and a half ago, I got this wild, crazy idea, almost 2 years ago now, to buy a bus. I mean, I always had this vision of being kind of like a musician and drive around the country in a bus. So we bought a 41-foot Class A coach and put Oh My Crafts on the side, thinking, oh, this is a great tax write-off, and we'll drive around and we'll teach classes. And few people know that the real reason we did that was for a family situation where we wanted to create an experience for one of our children and give them a job and kind of help them back to the path that we thought they needed to be on. And it wasn't just about the bus. The bus was fun, but it's a lot of work to drive a bus around and teach classes. There's some hidden stories in there, and that's what I'm trying to share, is sometimes you do things, hopefully, because life is more complicated than get the box, send it to the customer, and get the money from it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. A couple along the way, Sandy will tell you some of these stories too, but there's often decisions like inventory decisions, and you can't just not make a decision. I mean, someone's not going to make it for you in business. If they do, theirs is probably often going to be the same or not as good as yours. So you can't be afraid to make mistakes. So you have to make those hard decisions. But the more important thing is to learn from those mistakes. There are a lot of good books out there to learn how to run a business or start a business, but there is no golden Bible. There is not something out there that says if you do this, you'll be successful, or if you don't do this, you'll be successful. A lot of aspects of life, you wish there was a manual, like raising children. They don't come with manuals, and so you have to figure it out, and you will make mistakes. Just as important as you as the owner or the partner, by the way, I don't think we got that in there, but I don't like partnerships. It's as hard as it can without having somebody to... As hard as it is out there, not only will you make mistakes, but your employees will make mistakes. Every day they'll make mistakes. And deciding the boundaries of what you can tolerate and live with and how you can learn and help them learn from those mistakes is important. The last one is to do, that I'm going to talk about, and then I'll turn it over, is to do your homework. Do your homework for your classes, but that's not what I'm talking about. Make sure there's, probably the most important thing is make sure there's a demand for your product or service. Too often we think we have grand ideas or we have a unique product and it's cool because we like it, but it doesn't do any good if somebody else doesn't want it and won't pay for it. You get to a situation where you have a charity organization, and I have people that remind me we're in business to make money and we're not a charity. So make sure you have a demand for your product or service. And sometimes your little circle of collecting information isn't the one you need to look at. You need to look outside of your box and realize that maybe there aren't hundreds of thousands of people around the world that want to buy stickers of surfers. I mean, yeah, everybody in Hawaii has a sticker on the back of their car, but that might be the limit of your market, and that's okay, as long as you understand your market. Real quickly, some of the tools we use eBay a lot, not only to sell stuff, but to investigate the demand on products. There are tools that are associated with eBay. There's one called Terapeak that we use a lot to see what sells and what price and when it sells during the day or night and what days of the week. And there are a lot of tools out there that are available if you just look. We use Facebook a lot. One of the things we did recently at a buying show is that we told our customers we were going to this buying show and to watch for us on Facebook. And we would go up to the supplier and take a picture of whatever the new product was and put it on Facebook. And within minutes, literally minutes, we would have dozens, if not hundreds, of comments of, I like it, I don't like it, it's too expensive, it's the wrong color, I'll buy 10. And we would make immediate buying decisions based on that information right then and there. That's all I have to say. I hope I haven't confused any of you. But I'm going to turn it over to the president. She's the president and owner of the company. I just show up. Oh, I'm supposed to give you this.
Oh.
They told me not to put it on because it would be hard to get off.
Had one of these on last night. This pocket. Okay, well, thanks for having us here. When we started this, my sole desire was to pay the mortgage, feed my children, pay for their activities, send children on missions, you know, the basic fundamentals of life. I thought that it was going to be perhaps a little short-lived. I never dreamed that I was going to become a company spokesperson, that I would be doing videos and showing people how to craft all around the world. That was not in my scope. I thought that, you know, it was about get the product, figure out what to sell, get it in the box, and ship it. But I've learned along the way that there's countless things that in running a business you'll be called upon to do. And I love the fact that today, right now, we are in a church situation, so I can say what I really, really think. And that is that every church calling you will ever have in your life will help you in your business. Absolutely. So when you are successful in your church positions, you will find in business that those same skills and talents and abilities that you picked up there are going to help you in your business career. And, you know, I can't always say that in places, but it is true. So in my half of the top 10, we kind of made the top 10, and then we divided it out as to who might have the better stories or which one of us really wanted to talk about that thing. So my first thing is being an entrepreneur is all about taking risks. So you're going to assume right off the bat that I'm probably a risk taker. I am about as far from a risk taker as you can get and still be on the line of no risk and risk. I'm like way down here on no risk, and Kevin is way out here on taking risks. So automatically we had something there that, you know, we have to come to a compromise. And I have learned over, well, we've been married 28 years and doing business together for the last seven years. That compromise is really, there's a lot of that goes on in life. And so what kinds of things am I talking about in taking risks? Well, it could be on the particular product that you're considering carrying. It could be on the supplier. It could be on the employee that you're hiring. So there's all kinds of risks that come in there. It's not necessarily all about a calculated money risk, but there's all kinds of risks that every day you're called upon to make a decision about. And before we got into this business, he would tease me that it would take me 3 days to make a decision. And, you know, I can remember thinking, we were living in England. He was working for Hewlett-Packard. We were in the process of moving back to the States, and we had to get a house, we had to get a car, we had to do all these things. We had a week trip to go do all of this. And at the end of it, he's like, wow, you just pumped that all out, because it was like, find a house, you know, I mean, we were moving down this list. And apparently when I'm motivated about things I really care about, I can make a decision. But go to the grocery store, you know, and decide between this bag of flour and that bag of flour, I could stand there for 5 minutes figuring out the math on it. But big things, you know, for some reason, if you care about it, you can do it. And part of that is believing in yourself that you can make a sound decision. So that goes into that risk-taking. And I am also really long-winded, so I have to keep looking at the clock so I stay on task. Just a really quick example of risk-taking. When I consider bringing in a new product, twice a year we have a buying show. And all the manufacturers in our industry go to the trade show. And I literally spend 3 or 4 days, 6 or 7 hours on the show floor, looking at products, surveying products, deciding what we're going to carry, because it really matters. I mean, if you make a mistake and you bring in, you know, $50,000 worth of something that doesn't sell, I really internalize that and feel bad about it, because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we've got these employees, we've got to make payroll, we've got to do all these kinds of things. And so I take it really seriously in what we choose to buy and sell, almost to the point of there are some companies who have good products, but as the people I have to work with, I don't particularly care for them. There's something about them that just doesn't ring true. And so I will pass sometimes on a good product because of the people that I would have to work with and the situations that I feel that might put our company into. And so that's one risk that, you know, do you pass on this thing? Do you not pass on it? I remember we had a product not too long ago. We got a lot of pressure from some people to carry it. We had a lot of customers requesting it, and we met with the people, and I just didn't have a good feeling about it. I just could not bring myself to do it. And I said, you know what? We're not going to do it. We're not going to sell it. And Kevin convinced me with the numbers and things, because I was kind of going, well, but you know, they kind of want this product, and we opted not to do it. And guess what? That product never took off. If we had purchased what we thought we were going to, we would have wasted a bunch of money. So don't be afraid to feel your gut instincts. I mean, you can tell what's right and what's wrong, and listen to that inside you. We also have, on the risk-taking side of things, I'll say we'll buy 100, and then Kevin will go back and tell him 500 of it. And then I'll go back and say, 300, you know, and so we compromise. So you kind of have to learn some of those kinds of things. And as our suppliers have gotten to know us, it's really funny. You'll watch them. They'll look at him, and they'll look at me, and they'll go back and forth, and we kind of have like these hidden signals. And eventually we compromise. So that's risk-taking. The second thing is get help. If there's something you don't know about doing a business, get help. It's the smartest thing in the world you can do. I do not profess to be a whiz at numbers. That was never my strong suit. Kevin, on the other hand, I mean, can add numbers together faster than, so frustrating. So I turn that over to him. I trust him that he's going to take the numbers, he's going to manage it, he's going to do it, and I don't have to worry about it. So then I can worry about the things that I'm good at. The other thing is, you know, he and I can't do it all. there's just no way with the magnitude of what we're doing now, we can do it all. When we first started it, we could do it all. It was the two of us, and then we added one person, and then we added another one. But part of that I have had to learn is how to delegate and trust it. Once you delegate it to someone, that they're going to follow through, and letting them know that, you know, this is your responsibility, and I'm counting on you to do it. And I think it kind of trickled down at HP. They had a lot of managed by objective. And so I heard that a lot from him, even though I was, you know, the mom staying at home and raising the kids. I went to a lot of business dinners and sat in on conversations, and I think I absorbed a lot of that. But when you do get that opportunity to manage by objective with your employees, it does a couple of things. They learn that you trust them. They learn that what they do in the company is of value, that it matters. And that goes a long way in building that trust and helping them help you be successful. Sometimes in that line of getting help, it's really good to have some advisors that are outside of your business, outside of your industry. They're not your parents, they're not your banker, they're not any of those kind of people. Find someone that you think has a really good sense of business, a good sense of values, that you can just go to and you know, bounce ideas off the wall at them, and they'll just listen to you. We have one friend that was actually from Hewlett-Packard days, and Kevin will call them up and they'll talk and they'll have conversations, and you know what, 9 times out of 10, we're doing the right thing. He'll affirm that we're on the right track. But it's kind of nice when you're going into uncharted territory to hear that. Plus, somebody that might not be in the industry can often see something that you might not have considered, or they'll turn it around in a way that you're like, oh, I never thought of it from that viewpoint before. And so that's part of that getting help that I really like is none of us know it all. And if you can acknowledge that, it kind of builds a sense of trust with people to help you, and they want to help you. Okay, I'm sort of doing okay. The third one that I have is how to balance work, life, church, all of that. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be just really honest. I'm not very good at it. I'm not. I can be a very task-oriented person. You know, I'll see this needs to be done and this and this and this. And, you know, there's only one way to get through a list, and that's to put your head down and work. And so I have a tendency to do that. And sometimes if you're not like right in front of my face, right there, I'll kind of forget it. Not that I've really forgotten about it, but I'll put it to the side. And so this is an area of development for me that continues to be something I need to work on. So some of the things that I've tried to do is to set some priorities of, you know, what's most important at what time, and to set some boundaries. And what I mean by that is, you know, I try to carve out of the day, you know, when I get home from work until my youngest one goes to bed, that's my family time. That's the time when I'm there for homework or sports or any of those kind of things. And I don't schedule things in that. That's my family time. You know, after they go to bed, it's not uncommon for me to be up and working on something till 1 or 2 in the morning because I'm a night owl. That's my preferred time, and I can get a lot of stuff done at that time period. So figure out what works for you. It might not be a standard thing, but figure out your priorities, figure out your boundaries, and then stick to them. You got to be tough with some of those, because lots of people, when you're running a business, want your time. It's just a quick question. It's just this. I can't tell you how many times I've told everybody, I'll go into work, I'll say, okay, I've got this happening tonight at home, and I'm leaving at 3 o'clock. So if you need me, you got to get to me before 3 o'clock, you know, and 10 to 3 comes, and the people start lining up outside my office door. And it can take me an hour to get outside the building sometimes. And same thing for Kevin. So you've got to set your boundaries and your priorities, and you have to not be afraid to let people know what those are. Especially, and no offense to the guys here, but it's harder for the women because usually we're moms and we've got all these kinds of things, and even in today's interesting society, you know, the moms are still the caregivers, and rightfully so. You know, that's still my number one favorite job in all the world, is being a mom. But, you know, because we were at a time period where to be a mom, I needed to help with that, you know, I took on another hat. And now that I've taken on that other hat, you know, I'll be really honest, there's some really fun parts about being a business owner and getting to make decisions and having people look up to you, and there's some fun things about that. So I have to keep myself in line sometimes in that balance of it. And part of that is that I believe that, you know, you work hard and you play hard. So maybe we don't always have as much time in the week with my kids as I would like, but then we do go on trips and we spend a lot of time together. And so, you know, both of us will take a kid with us when we're going somewhere so we can have that one-on-one time and different things like that. Really quick before I leave this one, is everybody familiar with the story about the rocks and the sand in the jar? You know how we're taught, put in the rocks first, put in the sand, put in the water, and that'll help everything fit in. Well, that's part of this work balance life. The part of the story that they don't tell you, and Kevin helped remind me of this as we were talking about it, is before you can put the rocks in, you've got to figure out what those rocks are. So it sounds really great, put the rocks in, but you better know what those rocks are so you can get those most important things in first in that work balance life. The next one, I'm going to go really, really fast because we're out of time. The next one is you're the boss for a reason. You started the company, you had the vision, you might have developed the product or the service or whatever it is. There might be something unique to it that you were the visionary behind it, or it might even be just something like us where we're essentially an online retailer. We are in the process of developing some of our own products, but for whatever reason, you start the company, you're the boss. And you have to remember that when it comes to making the hard decisions, someone has to make them. And everybody's going to look to you to make them. And so if you're not good at decision making, you need to figure out how you can become better at decision making. And maybe that is that you talk to a lot of people and you get feedback from them, or you know, talk to your employees. They're your eyes and ears. They hear lots of things. They talk to the customers and they hear this and that. And if you'll make a point of listening to your employees and getting feedback from them, oftentimes that enables you to make those good decisions that you need to make. And part of that is, you know, how Kevin talked about first you need to teach them and you need to train them and you need to trust them. Well, going along with that is it's your company. You decide the kind of company it's going to be. Are you going to be a company that takes care of their employees, that takes care of their customers, that's good to your suppliers, or are you someone that's just out there looking for the best deal and it's just whatever? But remember, you're the one who determines what your company is like, and it's your responsibility to help your customers or your employees represent that to your customers. And you know, a lot of times I have to remind people in our group that we are all about offering great products at good prices that enable our customers to preserve their family memories. Because ultimately, I have given up, you know, a lot of mothering and parenting to be in the workforce. So I want to make sure that whatever it is I'm investing my time in is worth what I'm giving up on being a mother. And so for me, in this particular company, there's a trade-off there. At least if I'm out working, I'm doing something that is also helping other people to preserve their families and build those family ties and keep family units together. So that's being your own boss and keeping your company vision. And the last one, and I'm going to get emotional on this one, is you need to pray for the success of your company. You need to remember that all that you have been given comes from our Heavenly Father. It's God-given talents that He has given us the opportunity to excel at. And it's whether we choose to do that or not. I can't remember the scripture, but in Alma we're taught, to cry over your flocks and your fields. Well, as funny as it sounds, our flocks and our fields are the products that we sell. And I'm not afraid, it's like sometimes I need to know which thing we're going to carry. How much do I carry? And I'll think about things before I go to a show, and there's always this little bit in me that's like, okay, Heavenly Father, I've prepared, I've done my research, help me make good decisions. And maybe it's about the people you're employing or the products you're selling, or, is it time to move the business out of my house? Is it time to, bite the bullet and pay someone to design this really awesome website for me? Whatever it is, you shouldn't be afraid to involve your Heavenly Father in it, because He wants your success as much as you want it. And truth be known, your employees want you to be successful too, because if you're successful, then guess what? They have their jobs. And recently we had a company picnic, and although most of us are LDS at the company, for whatever reason, we haven't always chosen to have like a blessing on the food because it's a workplace thing. Sometimes that's kind of a funny thing you have to decide. And it was a family company party, and one of the little girls, tugged on her mom and says, "Mom, aren't we going to pray on the food?" And Kevin had said, "Well, we don't always do it." And the employee said, "Well, we pray for you every night." And it was a good reminder to us that your employees have your vested interest too. And a lot of times you need to let them know who you are and what you stand for. A few years ago, I started doing a Christmas ad, and I didn't even really think about it at the time, but I had done in vinyl on the wall Luke 2, and above it I had a nice picture of the Savior, and below it I had our nativity set. And I took a picture of it, and we used it in an ad. And I didn't even think about it, but I think the year that happened was the year that Target was being blasted for not saying Merry Christmas or just saying Happy Holidays or something. But we were inundated with customers writing to us and saying, "Thank you for not being politically correct. I'll always buy from you because you're a Christian company and you're not afraid to let people know who you are and what you stand for." And it's just really interesting. If you are not afraid to let people know who you are, it actually works in your favor. And I think when you do those things and you watch out for people and you try to encompass those beliefs that we have been taught all of our lives, I think Heavenly Father blesses us and gives us the abilities and the talents that we might not possess. So, okay, like I said, I went over, and you guys have a few minutes left for questions, but get up here. That's my list. So, any questions?
They want to go to lunch.
They want to go to lunch.
How is it working in a family business? I mean, I'm sure there's times where it's hard, or people even say don't hire your family. It can be a problem. How
It
is that?
can, and it is hard. There's 4 children, Andrew, 24, down to Megan, 13, and all 4 of them are employed. We have a son-in-law that's employed. I have a stepbrother that's employed. And then some of our employees have families that are employed, and it's really hard. Generally, we would say, don't hire your family, don't hire your ward members, don't hire your friends. But that's what it's there for, too, so you have to have a balance of the challenge and the rewards. The good part of that is that they'll stand behind you. Not too long ago, I shared the other night, not too long ago, we just needed to figure out how to get through a tough time, and we gathered the family around, and they all took their assignments and they went off and did things, and it wasn't their normal job, but they went and did them. So, it has its blessings and its challenges. But generally, I would say be careful.
We now have a new rule. It's called hire slow and fire fast. And the reason behind that is having to fire someone is one of the hardest things in the world you will ever have to do, especially if it's someone that you've worked with on a day-to-day basis. I cannot tell you how I've agonized over a couple of them that I had to do. Just like, I can't do it. But if you hire slowly, take time, learn about the person, even give them a probationary time period so that neither one of you is too vested, it's easier because it's super tough.
Yeah, we just have different perspectives often.
Do you guys hope to be able to retire soon, or are you going to keep?
That's a great question.
We don't know.
We thought we would keep it forever, but if the right situation allowed us to move on to something else, we would do that, but we probably wouldn't stop working.
No, it would be another project.
Without divulging any company secrets or anything, what kind of healthy margins, I'm sure there's a pretty wide range, but what kind of healthy margins do people look to get to in a catalog sales business? You know, I'm not so much after what you're doing in craft, but kind of as a general rule.
Yeah, great
Are there
question.
different kinds of catalog businesses that have different profit margins?
Yeah, I think we're probably typical.
Uh-huh.
We run safely at 40%
Okay.
margin. We can run okay at 30 or under. But
Start getting nervous.
start getting very nervous if over time it's less than 30. 35 is a magic number
And
for
that's
me.
the average, so anything that starts dropping below that, you wanna think about not reordering that stuff and.
Yeah, but the hidden part of that question is oftentimes I believe people look at that thing on eBay didn't sell with this margin, or that product line didn't sell with this margin, but it's really about the whole.
Yeah, and you had
Because-
mentioned that the other night when you talked about the very.
Because we have some things out there that are selling half of what they cost us. But every time they buy one of these, they buy 7 of these.
Right.
And so if you look at the whole, then you can
And so you're looking at the whole when you're looking at the.
And sometimes if you find a product that's not selling,
No, go ahead.
sometimes it's the way you're trying to sell it. So before you write it off altogether, try a different approach with it.
Repackage the sale.
or unpackaged.
Or unpackage it.
Repackage it.
Sandy and Kevin, I'm not trying to push over. Let's just take maybe one more quick question, if there's any others out there. Okay, if not, let's thank Kevin and Sandy Cottle. Thank you all for being here. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.